Okay, we're going to cover side 2 of the Titan 2M, which is pretty much the same as the Titan 1M as far as setup and tools go. And I already did the setup, so I'm going to just review that. I'm going to flip this upside down. And we got the XYZ in the model box point corner up here. So model box, these are all the box points that line up with the model. So even though it's missing the corner, this surface and this surface are how we're going to align it on the second side, and we have to control the total height of this part. So we're going to base that on where the bottom sits on the machine. So in the end, we're going to machine everything off until we get to this coordinate. And the setup on the stock, we want to make everything add up to 2 inches on the outside. So we use the same, and you can actually just, if you didn't know what to set it to, go to setup 1 and look at the stock setup. We got 50 thousandths on the X and Y offset relative size. This says, oh, add stocks to all sides. And the Z negative was 230. So we're going to go to setup 2. And this one says, we'll do add stock to all sides, and we'll do the same thing. We'll put 50 and 50, 0.50 and 50. And that ends up being 2.05. Oh, I think these are 25s. Yes, that's 2 inches, and the bottom is now on the top, so we're going to make the top 0.23, and we're going to shift the bottom by negative 0.75. There we go. And we make sure we name the program number and name up here, and we're using WCS number 2, which equals G55 in G code. Alright, so anytime you make a setup change, it wants you to update. So let's just review it anyway. So we duplicated this operation, brought it down here, which will have all our feed and speed data. We've identified the stock, that's why the yellow box is there. We don't need to select anything at the moment. And we're going to make all these stock top on operation 2 and just on the face mill. Passes, we're going to use multiple depths, make sure that's turned on so we can cut our way down. And we're going to use a finishing step of 0.02. We're going both ways. And we're going to do extend before retract. And that'll give us this right, it's going to go back and forth, and every time it gets to the extension, it's going to drop down. The chamfer mill, which we also duplicated and brought down here, so if we did duplicate and we just move that down to here, make sure they're in the correct operations are in order. And then actually you'll have all the correct tool numbers if you've already reordered it from that side. So this one would have all the feeds and speeds from operation 1, and we have to reselect the geometry. So you got to disconnect this if it's on the bottom and select this line right there. And it has the arrow on the outside, so that means it's going to cut from the outside. And we use model top everywhere now because we've removed all that material. And if you select the inside line here, we leave the chamfer width at 0 so it doesn't overcut. Use wear compensation, and I would accept all these settings. So that'll regenerate, and this is This is what they call a lead in. It's curving its way in and coming around, and then it curves off. All right, so now we're going to add text, which means we have to go back to design. We're going to use very simple text, and we're going to sketch it. So right now, if bottom is facing up with the name bottom, so I got to create a sketch, and I have to create the sketch on this surface right here. So I'm going to just click the surface, and for some reason it likes flipping upside down on me sometimes, so I'm just going to rotate this around so my orientation is correct. It says sketch palette, so we're actually going to just put that over here, and we're going to create text right up here. Alright, so you got a choice of A or text on path. So we're going to use plain old text. It's going to make a window, so we're going to go upper left and then drag this out and put a window right about there. So it pops in a sample already. It gives you a height. And the first thing I do is I adjust the height. I'm going to make it smaller. Then I'm going to change it to a simple text, and the ones with the SHXs, and these are the only ones you want to use. Like I've used italic, simple lines, but I'm going to use, the one I like using is Simplex 8. It's nice and simple. And I like this to be centered, so I'm going to use center alignment and center alignment. So it puts it in the middle pretty good. And then up here I'm going to type in what I want it to say. So if I put CNC dude, and on the next line I put like Titan 2M. Maybe I want a little space in between like that. I think that looks pretty good. Or if I want to make them bigger, like that. Okay, okay. I'm going to finish the sketch. Now this is just a sketch, it's not cut into that. We're just going to use this to steer our tool. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to manufacture, and bottom is still facing me. So I'm going to click on setup 2. There we are. And now I got to add in you have selections here of engrave and trace. So engrave, we're not going to use engrave, we're going to use trace, which means we're going to just follow the lines. Hit trace. And now we got to go select a tool. So in the new tool library, the building block aluminum tools, I'm going to pick milling, and we want this one right here. It says 1/16 ball engrave mill. I'm going to select that one, hit select, and I forgot to select the preset, so I'm going to get that done now. Engrave. So this is all 6,000 RPM at 20 inches a minute. Okay. Now we have to select something. So we're going to zoom in, and I'm just going to click right there. Notice they're all selected. So now I got to set my heights. I'm going to make all these model top, and model top. The only thing we're missing is the top selection. That's not in this here. That's going to be in this center right here. And we're not going to do sideways compensation. We're going to stay right on center. And right here is going to be your depth. It's going to be related to whatever surface that's on. So I like using -0.003. And no other settings. No pass extension, and no lead in, lead out. So I'm just going to hit OK. And there we go. This is actually the tool path for the text. The yellow lines represent the rapid moves in between. Alright, let's do a quick simulation. Simulate. We recenter this. Alright, hit play. I got the transparent tool on. I like using the tail now. That's where it came from. And we're chopping our way down to 0. Eventually will be aligned with the model right there. And I'm going to chamfer the outside and engrave. Now sometimes I like to, if I actually want to get a little bit better simulation, I could go and edit the stock, the material, and I would make this, instead of minus 750, I would make it minus 0.740. Hit OK. And regenerate, and then resimulate. I'm going to jump ahead with operation 1, operation 2, and this leaves a little bit of a skin just for simulation, and I can actually do an engrave like that. So this kind of be a little bit how it's going to look. So it's if we look at this, it's actually a spherical ball end mill, and we're just using the tip of it. So it's got a little bit of a curve, it's not a sharp corner. Then you get into things called engraving tools, which have a much finer tip. But actually, this is 0.062 across, but we're probably only using not even half of that diameter right there. All right, let me unzoom this again and play. So you don't need much depth on these. Okay, hit close. All right. Oop, let me flip this back over to operation 2. We're ready to make some G-code here. I got everything 1002 set up. I got my name up here. I got my machine. I'm going to post. I'm going to save it on my USB. And if there's something already on the USB, I'm just going to overwrite that one. And I'm going to review the code. Now we got tool 1, tool 3, so these are from the first operation. And we got a tool 20. So one of our machines only holds 10 tools, and the other one does have 20 tools, but the probe is usually in that selection there. We don't want to take the probe out. So we can either, one, you can edit the code at the machine, like here, change the T20 and the H, and there's no D's involved. That would be one way of doing it. Another way would be to go in and edit, oop, I think I saw it right there. Edit the tool. Brings you right to the tool library. You go to the post processor, and we're going to name it, let's see, we'll name it tool 8. We never use tool 8. And that one, that would fix it also. So now we have 1, 3, and 8. We just got to remember to set it up that way. So we repost this again. We don't have to edit anything. The whole goal with this is we don't want to have to edit any code. Notice it says tool 8 only. So I made a mistake because I only have this one highlighted. I need to have set up 2 highlighted. So I'm going to G-code again. Overwrite the bad one and save the good one. Alright, now I got tool 1, 3, and 8. And right here also I have G55, which is going to be the second vise. And notice right here, if this is just face milling, so it's just a quick G-code lesson. It's going to start at 1.23 above 0. It's going to wrap it to 0.33, and then it's going to feed to 0.22 and go to X minus 6.8. And then the Z level is going to keep on changing. It's going to go left, right, left, right. So 140, 100, 60, 20, and 0. That would be the last cut. And then the rest of it will, this is the chamfering tool, and this is the engraving, which is a lot more G1s involved there. Okay, that's about it as far as making that part. So now we can start engraving our names on the back, or we can get into some designs later. But this is a good start, okay? Thanks, talk to you later.